I'm Alli and welcome to my channel. Today we are taking on some high-end fall decor and making a DIY dupe for a fraction of the price. And this video is part of a very special collab with my good YouTube friend Lisa Marie over at Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. So the item that I'm going to dupe in this video is this $79 lantern. That is so expensive for a lantern. Now, of course, this lantern is 26 inches tall, which is massive. However, I'm going to dupe it for way less on a slightly smaller scale, though it still would be way less even if you made it to the full scale. So let's get started on this DIY. To start this build, I'm using a 5/8 by 3 foot square wood dowel, and I'm marking it at 14 inches. I then used my hand miter saw to saw a 45-degree angle on the one end, so that I'd have a nice mitered cut, and then that leaves me with that longer piece that's left over with the mitered cut as well, so then I used a straight 90-degree angle cut to cut that one at 14 inches and repeated that again so that I would have 4 pieces exactly like this. Next up, I'm using some scrap wood. I'll put the measurements on the screen here so you can refer to those. And I just took my tape measure, marked it, and cut these pieces down to 6 inches. This wasn't a perfect square because of the width of these boards that I'm using, but it was close enough, so I figured it'd be fine for this project. And so I just cut those all down until I had all of the pieces. Then I took some of the remaining dowel and I cut down 2 pieces to 6 inches, also giving both of these pieces that 45-degree angled miter. That way these would make the top pieces on our little lantern bars that we're creating. Then I needed to cut 2 additional top pieces, and those were cut at 90-degree angles, and I cut those to 5 1/8 inches long. And these are all of the pieces that you should have once everything is cut out. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is part of a collaboration with Lisa Marie over at Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. She invited me to be her first guest on her brand new series called One and Done. The whole concept of this series is to do just a single DIY project and do a full in-depth tutorial on how to complete it. And I'm just so honored that she invited me to be her very first guest for this challenge. So I highly recommend, after finishing this video, head to the description box and check out Lisa Marie's channel and check out her video as well. You're going to love the project that she made. It's going to give you even more fall DIY dupe inspiration. Next up, I used some wood glue and just started piecing together all of these little 6-inch pieces to make the base of the lantern. And I also used my speed square and these nice big clamps to reinforce the shape while it dried. Meanwhile, I sanded down these little mitered dowel pieces after doing all of the cuts. And then I'm going to be using a corner clamp like this to start piecing together the lantern fronts. So as you can see here, I put a little bit of glue and then I pieced together that corner like so, and then I clamped it in place until it dried. Now obviously this project would be way quicker if you had multiple corner clamps. These clamps also aren't necessary. You can piece everything together and then tape it up until it dries. But I found this to be a really great and simple method to get perfect corners that turned out really, really great in the end. So once I had the 2 front pieces done, it was time to attach the sidebars like so, and at this point I got a little bit lazy, but I needed to speed this process along. So I used some Gorilla brand hot glue, which is super strong, and these corner clamps to continue attaching these bars on the sides here like so. And I did that until I completed the lantern all the way around and had this nice little square, or I guess rectangle, of dowels like this. Then it was time to begin attaching this lantern front to the base. So I flipped the base upside down and I marked where each of the little lantern legs would go. Then I took my drill, and I don't have a countersink drill bit, so I did it my own, where I just used a thick drill bit to partially drill into this piece of wood that I have created, and then used a smaller drill bit to make the pilot hole all the way through the piece of wood. And I also drilled pilot holes into the bottoms of each of the dowels. Then all I did was take some wood screws and screwed them in with my screwdriver to attach the top of the lantern to the base. next up, it is time to stain the lantern, and I'm excited because I'm using a new shade of stain here, Traditional Cherry by Varathane. This is my first time using the brand Varathane and using this color, and I absolutely love it. It just has that warm reddish brown fall tone that is absolutely perfect and very, very similar to the Kirkland's piece that I'm trying to duplicate here, though it does have a little bit more of a red undertone than the original lantern, and I absolutely love how this looks. As that was drying, it was time to assemble the little bit of greenery, the little floral that goes at the bottom of the lantern. So I am going to be using one of these Dollar Tree glass hurricanes, and I used some Dollar Tree wire as well to create the shape for this little floral kind of mini wreath that is going around the bottom. In an ideal world, the wire that I'd be using here would not have been bright red, but it kind of works since I am incorporating red and orange and green fall tones into this piece. So then I'm using this plastic faux eucalyptus. This is also from Dollar Tree from their fall floral sections. I just thought this was so pretty and fit in so well with my inspiration piece. And I began cutting off little pieces with my wire cutters and then using some floral wire to wrap it around that little wire frame that I created. And I started with the red and I placed that around, then I moved on to the orange and then the yellow. Once I had a good base of these eucalyptus pieces wired on, it was time to move on to using some hot glue to fill in some of the gaps. So I really just put in a nice little bit of hot glue, stuck in a little sprig of the faux eucalyptus, and held it in place until the glue had cooled. And I just did that all the way around the wreath until I was satisfied with the fullness of it and how it looked and how much of the wire was also concealed, because I did not want to be seeing that shiny red wire in the final result. Then all that was left to do was place the wreath in the bottom of the lantern along with a hurricane and a flameless candle. Now before we get into the final reveal, I have to share the cost breakdown of how my DIY stood up to the actual Kirkland's lantern. So of course, a reminder, the Kirkland's lantern retails for $79.99. However, I was able to make this lantern for less than $19, which is a huge difference and a huge savings, and the product, the end result, looks incredible. So let me show you that right here. Don't forget to check out Lisa Marie's video, which is linked in the description box, so you can get even more one-and-done DIY inspiration. And that's everything I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!